couple of different countries, have a couple of beers, and discuss a stadium somewhere in the world and their experiences there. I'm Paul.
And I'm Dave.
And we are excited to be here with you tonight. Before we get started, please be sure to subscribe to the Stadium Journey YouTube page while you're there, like the video, and leave a comment. The official Stadium Journey review of today's venue can be found at stadiumjourney.com, or the link can be found in the comments below. So let's get rolling. Dave, what are you drinking today?
So I have today a favorite, which used to be a craft beer, but it's no longer a craft beer. I'm not sure if that's a big thing for you guys down there, but we have these microbreweries that are being bought up by the giants. So this is Alexander Keith's India Pale Ale, which is kind of the most un-IPA-ish India Pale Ale ever. They originated in Halifax, Nova Scotia. If you ever get the chance, do the brewery tour. Amazing.
Hey, you know what? My beer is kind of along the same lines. Since we were talking about, I'm going to spill the beans. We're talking about Rochester, New York. First thing that comes to mind when you think beer in Rochester, you think Genesee, right? Well, kind of hard to find a Genesee nowadays in Massachusetts. So I had the next best thing. I have a beer left over from my last trip to upstate New York, which was actually, again, a fantastic brewery tour. Utica Club from Utica, New York. So it's as close as I could get to Rochester for today's show. If you are visiting today's destination, like I said, we might be drinking a Genesee while we're taking in the game, because today we're talking about Froniter Field in Rochester, New York, home of the Rochester Red Wings of the International League. Before we dive into our conversation, let's take a look at the stadium vitals. Okay, Froniter Field, built in 1997 for the Rochester Red Wings. It's located on Maury Silver Way. It was built in 97 at a cost of $35 million. The reason why Maury Silver Way is significant, he is a big name in Rochester baseball history. I mean, the previous stadium where the Red Wings played was called Silver Stadium. So he was the original owner of the Red Wings, right? Or maybe not the original owner.
Not
they've
quite.
Been around. They've been around forever. Yeah.
So in 1956, the St. Louis Cardinals, who were the parent of the Red Wings, were pulling out. Which meant
Wings, Cardinals.
Yes. Which meant that Rochester was going to lose their team. So Maury Silver led the 72-day miracle. And in 72 days, he raised enough money through a community stock drive to purchase the team and purchase the stadium and keep them in Rochester. And then subsequently, they started a very long and, I would say, fruitful relationship with the Baltimore Orioles, who they had an agreement with for over 20 years, more than 20 years, 40 years, I think. Yeah, 40 years.
Yeah, so they were with the Orioles forever.
Maury Silver actually spent the most. He ended up being the CEO and the president. And even today, because Maury Silver is gone, his daughter is still the president and CEO of the Red Wings. And there's about 2,000 stockholders who own shares in the Red Wings. Now, how you get these shares, I'm not really sure, because it's not publicly traded. But it's one of those great community owned kind of stories.
Wow, yeah, and the Red Wings are, I believe, the oldest continually operating franchise in the International League. If not the oldest franchise, they are definitely been in the same place for the longest time.
1899, they've been in Rochester. So, and then they've been the Red Wings since 1929.
And they have, they started playing at Silver Stadium in 1929 and played there for 67 years before they moved downtown. Now, Silver Stadium was an old place. It was located in a residential district, so they really wanted to build a new ballpark closer to downtown, and that's what they did with Froniter Field. In addition, and they built Froniter Field not just for baseball. I don't know if anybody really realizes this, but the first sporting event that ever took place there was a soccer game.
Yeah, the Rochester Rhinos have had various spurts where Frontier Field was their home. The Rochester Rattlers of the former Major League Lacrosse, they played a bunch of games there, and then they ended up building a stadium not too far, a soccer stadium, probably about 3 blocks away, which ended up pulling out the soccer team and the lacrosse team.
Yeah, it was kind of a multi-purpose stadium when it was first built, and basically to get all the teams out of their old digs and closer to the downtown region. Now, a drawback to Frontier Field's location, even though it is really close to downtown, if you go on, Google Maps or something and like put in a direct directions to another place, like say the Blue Cross Arena, it's only a mile away. But because it's on the other side of the inner loop highway in Rochester, it kind of doesn't feel like it's downtown, but it's right there. It's very, very easy to get to, especially compared to the old place.
Yeah, if you're confident in your parking downtown, you're looking at somewhere in a 2 to 5 minute drive range. So getting to some of those places is not a big deal. If we're going to step out into downtown, I strongly recommend hitting up the Strong Museum. Oh, that was a bad connection there.
Strongly, I get it.
The Strong Museum, which used to be called the Museum of Play.
Museum of Play.
It houses
which is home to the
National Toy Hall of Fame. Probably one of the best museums that I've been to. Just a whole lot of fun. If you're an old video game head,
that was the best part for me.
You go up and play Pac-Man and Paperboy and Ninja Turtles up in the old arcade, and you could spend hours there. Going through the Toy Hall of Fame is amazing. If you can do it, find the display on lawn darts. Probably the most interesting display there is, because they are the most dangerous toy ever produced.
Does it have mannequins with lawn darts? Oh.
No, but did you know this? If you try and sell some original lawn darts, not the ones with the nice rounded ends that you can buy now, but the ones with the actual metal points, if you try and sell them on eBay, eBay will take them off. They will
really?
Not, they will not sell them.
We used to try to play catch with those suckers, man.
That explains a lot.
It sure does. It sure does. All right. Yeah, and the Strong Museum is fantastic. And downtown Rochester has kind of got some charms of its own. I've heard stories. I've never been there. The old abandoned subway system. I don't know if you've heard of this.
I have not.
Rochester actually, I guess back in the day, I don't know if they had a subway or they started to build a subway system. And it obviously, it's for a city the size of Rochester today, it's not needed. But the tunnels are still there, and you can go down into the tunnels. They kind of go under the river.
It sounds like something out of a Batman movie.
Yeah, and it's
Gotham City has all this abandoned stuff.
It's all graffiti tagged and stuff. And Rochester's got its own food scene. We were talking right before we started, Dave, about our favorite place to go to in Rochester. If you're a veteran listener of the Stadium Journey podcast, this is not going to be a surprise.
No.
But yeah, Dinosaur Barbecue has a location right downtown, right on the Genesee River.
Yeah, right on the river, right across the road from Blue Cross Arena. Yeah, absolutely. But if you are looking at something really uniquely Rochester, you might want to try Nick Tahoe's, which is the birthplace of the garbage plate.
Now, you have tried a garbage plate.
I have. Not at Nick Tahoe's. So I guess technically I didn't try a garbage plate, because that term has been copyrighted. Yes.
Nice.
But so we're going to come back into the stadium where we actually haven't been yet. You can get what's called a plate. And it's just like it sounds. The base is mac and cheese salad and home fries or French fries, and then there's always a hot sauce, which would be more like a meat sauce as opposed to like Frank's hot sauce, and then either hot dog or a burger or something like that, onions. But it's one of those things that I ate and I kind of felt like I was too old to be eating it.
Yeah. That's what I was just thinking. I said, it sounds like something that would be fantastic to have in your 20s after a night out at the clubs.
I would think so.
But
I would think
yeah,
so.
having it in your 40s and 50s before a game, probably not a great idea.
Yeah, no. Nope. But I could say I've done it, and it's definitely uniquely Rochester. And you know, Frontier Field, one of the better spots for concessions. Like, I'm not sure if there are two stands that are the same in that place. It's like
And
everyone is different and they have their own cuisine. And you know, in that kind of upstate New York area, you get the red hots versus the white hots. So you have a little bit of choice in your hot dog choice if you're into that. You've got deli, you've got barbecue, you've got like a bit of everything, you know, to go with your ice cream and your pizza and all that. Lots of local craft beers all kind of put into one spot where it seems like they've kind of tag teamed. So, you know, if you fear that, you know, Genesee may be just a bit too mainstream for you, well, mainstream for Rochester, there's tons of choices. So we've always found something to eat at Frontier Field, no problem.
Genesee, it's one of those beers your dad used to drink.
Not up here. It was just legendary from commercials in Buffalo.
Yeah.
That we got.
Well, I could tell you, my dad and his brothers they're from upstate New York. They're from the Plattsburgh area, but
Okay.
they all love their Genesee, I tell you. And yeah, having spent a dozen years working in Pawtucket in concessions, we used to get all our ideas. We would steal them from Rochester. So whenever we wanted to try something new, they would send our director of concessions up to Rochester. He'd go look around, and then we'd have our new menu item.
Yeah, but it's a great spot. I mean, is there a better way to be welcomed? You go in the front gate, which is at Maury Silver Way. You're met by a bronze statue of Maury Silver with two little kids, which just, you know, hits home that whole family community feel. You walk in, there's a huge statue of a red-winged bird with a ball cap on. There's a really strange sculpture of a horse.
A horse made out of gloves, yes.
Made out of ball gloves, yeah. And then, you know, is there anything that really jumps out at you about the bowl itself? Not really. Great sight lines. It's simple.
It's a single bowl. Yep.
Yeah. There's no upper deck to worry about. It's you can find wherever you want to sit, no problem. Friendly folks. You can head around the side. You can find the statue of the Rochester's Mr. Baseball, who is just the recently deceased Joe Altobelli. 50 years in baseball, and with the Red Wings, he was a player, a coach, a manager, a GM, and a broadcaster. Not all at the same time, but, you know, over time, he's done all of those jobs. Just a warm feeling. It's not as there aren't as many like eye-catching features as like a Toledo or Columbus or a stadium like that.
Do you realize that Frontier Field is the third oldest ballpark in the International League right now?
Wow, there is no International League, but
well, yeah, triple A East. They got to get rid of those names.
Yeah.
I was trying to think. Oh, I'm sorry. I was trying to think of what ballparks were older, and I'm not sure. So Buffalo, I know, is older.
Yeah, Buffalo, maybe Syracuse.
And I'm thinking
right around
Norfolk,
right around
Syracuse.
That. Norfolk, yeah. But they're going into uncharted waters because the Twins have since pulled their affiliation. They're going with St. Paul, and they have the Red Wings have signed on with the Washington Nationals, who are, I think they're coming back from Vegas. Isn't it everybody come back from Vegas? Or no, they were with Syracuse.
But I think they went to Vegas. I think they went to Vegas.
But yeah.
Back. Poor Vegas. Everybody goes to Vegas for a quickie marriage and a quickie divorce.
The Hall of Fame there is quite a who's who. So here you go. You ready for this list? We got Bobby Grich, Brady Anderson, Don Baylor, Mike Musina, Justin Morneau, Dennis Martinez, Bob Gibson, Kurt Schilling, Cal Ripken, Stan Musial.
Stan Musial?
Stan Musial. Well, they were with the Cardinals before the Orioles, right?
Yep. You didn't name one of my favorites, Al Bumbry.
He's there too, but
yes, he is.
You know, this is a timed podcast. We do not have enough time to go through the entire list. And you could go through, and that's one thing I love about some of these AAA parks. You go through like their Hall of Fame, and it's a who's who of all the guys that have come through. In Rochester, they have banners of Cal Ripken. And one of the things we talked about, it was the Rochester Red Wings that played Pawtucket in that ginormously long 33-inning game. Cal Ripken was on that team.
Oh yeah, that game had had 2 Hall of Famers, along with many all-stars. Yeah, you mentioned Joe Altobelli, who was Mr. Baseball Rochester. He's honored with a statue. A couple of drawbacks to the Rochester thing is it was built before the next wave of stadium building in the minor leagues, so you don't have that concourse where you can watch the game while you're in the concourse. It's underneath the seating. You don't have that 360 wraparound. But like you said, it's big, it's comfortable. You don't feel like you're on top of the people next to you, and it's a great old school ballpark.
Yeah, in Rochester, is there a more minor league city than Rochester? Like, isn't it the epitome of minor league sports? You got the Amerks, you got the Red Wings, they'll dabble with lacrosse and whatnot. And it's a really kind of a funny city. The big eye-catching thing when you look out is the Kodak building, which is lit up really nice at night. But of course, Kodak, once a massively huge company, is now, I don't know, I'm sure it exists still in some form or another, but that building has been saved by the Monroe County Community College, so it's still there. It still says Kodak and everything. But yeah, Blue Cross Insurance has a presence, obviously. Xerox, Genesee. So it's kind of an interesting city. It seems like it should be bigger than it is, but some of those industries have just sort of fallen off, like Kodak.
But there are enough where the city is kind of revitalized. They've kind of shifted gears into the tech sector. So the downtown, while it's not huge, and I think Rochester at one time was like one of the 20 biggest cities in the country. It's
Wow.
certainly not there anymore.
No, about 200,000 people.
Yeah, good size. It's still a pretty good sized city. And yeah, like you said, the epitome of minor league sports. Now, I don't think I would want to visit Frontier Field in April.
Probably not.
But you know what? The 2 times I've been there have been in August. It's been fantastic weather, or maybe July, but summer weather, summer in upstate New York, fantastic place to be.
It's an annual trip for us. We make sure we hit Rochester at some point in time. It's a little bit more special because it's a little further away and it's a little bit more homey, and it's got its perks than Buffalo. And we actually have to drive past Salem Field to get to Frontier Field. It's an easy drive. The 490 is right there. It's easy to park. And it's just a full-fledged good time. Minor league ball, great promotions as many places do. I've been on Batman night a couple times. Julie Newmar was there the last time with the original Batmobile. Well, sorry, the original Batmobile, the 1960s Batmobile from the Adam West show, and lots of crazy jerseys on Batman night. They had these kind of Batman like with the old school logo that said Red Wings instead of Batman, and like looked like there was a cape on the back, and just that sort of minor league kind of crazy stuff. But it's definitely a spot that we hit every year. I recommend to my friends with kids. I mean, it's a great spot to go. Take your kids, go to the Strung during the day, come back, go to the ball game at night, get a hotel, swim in the pool, go back the next day. It's the greatest 2-day trip you can pull off.
Absolutely. And if you're someone who likes to string a bunch of ballparks together, you got Buffalo 1 hour to the west, you got Syracuse 1 hour to the east.
And if you're going to Syracuse, you might as well keep going another 45 minutes and hit Cooperstown.
Sure. It's all right there. So yeah, Frontier Field. It's doesn't get the love that some of the other new AAA ballparks get, but it's a solid place and a great place to visit. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you again next time on Obstructed Views.
Cheers.